After traveling through Ireland and tasting its many wonderful whiskeys, I came home with spots. It looks like it's time for another review. Let's do this. Welcome back to Old Fashioned Ways Plus Plus, and today we'll be doing my first Irish spot whiskey review. I've been able to have a few pours of different spots through my journeys. I grabbed a red spot before heading home. However, today I'm doing a review on yellow spot.
I'm beginning to see spots.
Because my lovely wife got this for me for Christmas. So let's pop this open, pour a little bit out, and set it aside. Ooh, nice pop. Back in the days when distilleries would sell their new make spirits to bonders for maturing, Mitchell & Sons developed a reputation for creating some of the world's finest single pot still Irish whiskey, and still to this day. Since the 1800s, Mitchell & Sons has been the place to go for green, yellow, red, and blue. Mitchell devised a simple color coding scheme for identifying casks, using spots of color paint on each cask in the warehouse to track the age of the whiskey in each barrel. Blue spot was 7 years, green spot was 10 years, yellow spot was 12 years, and red spot whiskey was 15 years old. Since the 1800s, Mitchell & Son has been the place to go for Dublin's finest whiskeys. In 1887, the entrepreneurial Mitchell family expanded into the whiskey bonding business.
Bonding?
Whereby they sent empty wine, sherry, and port casks via horse and cart to the local Jameson Distillery on Bow Street. These were then filled and returned to Mitchell's cellar warehouse underneath Fitzwilliam Lane. Rather than simply being a finished whiskey, Yellow Spot is special because it contains whiskey that has been matured for a full 12-year period in 3 oak cask types: American bourbon barrels, Spanish sherry butts, and uniquely Spanish Malaga cask. Now, the Malaga cask brings an exotic sweet note to the whiskey, making it a truly delightful taste experience.
Too exotic?
Only extremely limited quantities of Yellow Spot have been bottled, making it a whiskey to seek out and savor as a true rarity. Let's get into the bottle details. Bottle details: Yellow Spot. Classification: single pot still whiskey. Distillery: Middleton Distilling Company. Proof: 92 proof, making it 46% ABV. Age: 12 years. The finish: bourbon barrels, sherry butts, and Malaga cask. Mashbill: 100% barley, but it's malted and unmalted barley. MSRP: $149. So, as you can see, HRH is still here. So I had to twist her arm once again to try this with me. So, welcome HRH.
Thank you.
So, last summer we traveled through Ireland and Scotland, and during our travels we did try a lot of different whiskeys, right? Yellow Spot was one of them. Do you remember Yellow Spot?
Absolutely. I loved Yellow Spot.
You did, right?
I
It's
did.
one of the ones, after all the ones we tried, this is one of the ones you still talk about.
Yes. Mhm.
And you just mentioned a few seconds ago, what are you going to do?
I'm going to go buy it as soon as I get back to San Antonio.
Yeah. The funny
It's on
thing
my
is
to-do
you
list.
Number 1, make to-do list.
haven't even had it today, but you still want to go buy it from remembering it during our trips, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do a review. Once again, 1 through 10 on aroma, flavors, complexity, mouthfeel, finish, and would I buy again? And I guess would you buy again? We already know your answer, right?
Yes, we'll figure that out in a little bit.
All right.
We got to see if it's as good as we remember.
That is
And
true, right? Yeah, I
it's been
remember it being very
months
good.
ago,
So yeah.
yeah.
So I already have them poured out for us. Here's yours. Here's mine. All right. So
Yours
once
has more. Just kidding.
happy now?
Yes.
Are you ever happy?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So once again, let's look at that. Just look it up at the light. Look at it. Look at that color. So this is very light, right? It's a very light, very, very light amber. More on the yellow side, but it's called the Yellow Spot. Maybe that's one of the
It
reasons.
works.
I know that's not the reason, but maybe that does, right? So give it a little stir
Good
in there.
caramel color.
A little swirl job, and look at that. So this runs, you can see the lakes running pretty quickly there.
I was running.
And so, you know, it does have a little bit of viscosity on the glass, but it does run pretty
yes.
quickly, right?
Mhm.
So what we're first going to score on is aroma. So let's get into that nose and smell that. Oh, wow.
It smells oaky.
Yeah, I think it smells like honey to me.
Really? I'm not getting sweet. It smells more, oaky is what it's giving
It's so
me.
funny how two of us can smell the same thing, but smell it completely different.
Yeah.
Now, you smell oakiness, and there really isn't much oakiness in this. It is finished in one of a bourbon cask, so there will be some. So maybe your nose is just picking that up.
Follow your nose. Follow your nose. Follow your nose.
But I haven't smelled that yet, right? A little
Pepper.
Yeah, a little bit of pepper, right? A little bit of that pepperness. Not super spicy, but there is some pepperness there. Okay, smell it. Like, just take a deep breath and just hold it for a second. It kind of smells fruity at the end. I'm getting like a little bit of a peach note there, but not quite. It's like a hint, but to me, honey up front, to you, oak up front, right?
Yes.
So for an aroma, what would you give that? Remember, scale from 1 to 10 on aroma.
I'd give it a 6.
All right.
Just because I like sweet. I like
Yeah.
it very sweet.
And I'm also giving it a 6. Now, the fun part, flavors, right? Going for that initial taste.
Let's see if it tastes the same.
Well, before I drink, cheers.
Oh, cheers.
I touched my tongue, so I did have some.
Oh, I can taste that honey now.
Yeah.
I'm still getting an oaky flavor though.
Very sweet up front. Very, very sweet up front. Not like, just on the tip, I get a little bit of spice, right? Like that little black pepper you're kind of smelling. I do get a little bit of that, but very honey sweetness to me. That's what I taste initially. And I see that oakiness. Yes, I
At the end.
Hint of no oakiness at the end. Now with this one, I only, and that initial taste, I have a flavor on the tip of my tongue and the flavor in the middle of my tongue. I don't have anything on the back of my palate yet. How about you?
Yeah, I don't have anything back there yet.
So for your initial taste, what would you give that?
7.
All right, I'm gonna keep that with a 6. I'm gonna give that a 6 with my initial. So complexity, right? On the complexity, how does this evolve? You know, how do you like this? So let's go in for that.
Oh, that one's actually sweeter. I think it's like, now it's like sweet on the tongue, like the tip in the middle. In the back, I'm not really getting too much. I still taste like an oaky kind of aftertaste to it.
Yeah,
but
a little bit of that oaky, but like you said, tip of the tongue has a little bit of spice, you know, that little pepper.
Hello, you must be Pepper.
Really just kind of a peppery spice. Pepper like is it a black pepper, but also as a pepper like a red pepper a little bit, right? But not the heat, just a little bit of spice there. Then you get that honey, which just stays on my mid palate. I get a lot of honey and sweetness in that mid palate, a little bit of oakiness, but there's a little bit of fruitiness coming through on that as well. On that one,
like a banana.
Yeah, like a banana. Not very strong, but it's like just a little hint there. So yeah. So what would you give complexity?
Complexity, I would give it a 7.
All right, and I'm sticking at a 6 again. So mouthfeel. Now, how does this thickness on the tongue, viscosity on the tongue? You know, when we looked at it, it had some legs, right? Stuck to the glass pretty well. So now, time to taste it on the tongue.
You know, it's not very thick. It's not a very thick.
Yeah, kind of goes away. And I say most of the flavor for me is on my mid palate. Like it just stays on that mid palate, and that's where it's at. So for mouthfeel, what would you give it?
A 7.
A 7. You like these 7s, aren't you? Now,
Lucky 7.
7. Lucky 7.
With mouthfeel, because as you said, it's not very thick and all that, I'm actually going to give it a 5.
I'm tasting like banana in it.
Yeah, when you mention that, now it sticks in your head and you taste it more,
taste the
right?
banana.
So let's go in for the finish. How does it stay and finish on the in the mouth, right?
Okay.
So.
Oh. Very, very sweet.
Yeah, and it's funny. On that one, I tasted more of that oakiness, so it kind of made that banana taste a little bit like, you know, a little toasty banana, but very sweet. The spiciness on the tip's kind of gone away from me. I don't really have a lot of that. I mean, this proof is, I think it's pretty low, so it's not very high of a proof. Where is the proof on here? It's 92 proof, so not too high of a proof, but it drinks very well. It does stay on my tongue decently, so the finish is still there, but it does kind of fade out. I still have a little bit of it. It's not as strong as with the first sips, and it fades kind of quickly, but it's still a little bit there. What about with you?
I do taste it. It's very sweet for me. It's not really spicy.
But the hint, like, it's just a hint there, right? It's kind of faded from the tongue. It doesn't stay on the tongue very long. So for your finish, what would you give it?
I would give it a 7. We're in a solid 7.
Your 7's all the way down, right? I'm gonna give it a 5.5, because it's not quite a 6, but it's not quite a 5 for me. But it still has a nice finish. I mean, it's good. I like it. I like this pour. Would I buy again? It's $149, so don't say yes. And we already know your price. You already know you are, right? We know you're going to San Antonio buying this. You haven't had this in months. Now that you've had it again, would you still buy it again?
I would still buy it again. I don't remember the banana flavor. I'm trying to think of what I thought about it the first time, but I know I loved it the first time. But we're also in Ireland and Scotland.
So you know, maybe it's the travel and being around everything.
Yes,
there.
and the environment there is just what it just went with it. But I would buy it again. I think it's very sweet. It's not as spicy, so if you like more on the sweet side, I think this one would be a great one.
Yeah. So for $150, rank it from 1 to 10. And
Take
remember,
a lucky guess.
7.
Yes.
Now, would I buy again? For $150, I think this is a very good pour. I do agree with that. Have I had other bottles for $150 that are better for me? Yes. And that's where it always becomes conflicting. Irish whiskeys are a different breed. They're different. They're very different. So it's hard to compare that to what I normally drink, rye and bourbon, right? Yellow spot, you know, is not, it's harder to find. So it is a little bit harder to find and stuff like that. So the rarity is out there too. Would I buy again? Yes. But I'm going to give it a 6 on what I buy again.
I could have guessed that one.
All right. So scoring them, adding up the scores, I got 34.5 and you got 41. I think that's a good solid score for this. Yes, it's, you know, my, Irish whiskey. I'm trying to expand my palate. So that is part of this journey. It's the start of my journey of trying different things that are not bourbons and ryes. I think it's a good start. Maybe we shouldn't have started at such a high end one, but it is what it is, right? We do have red spot that we can always try again and compare that with this as well. But we're going to talk about how can you win a sample, right?
Yes.
Somebody out there, some of you guys are going to win a sample. So let's talk about that. First of all, please make sure to hit that like button. If you haven't yet, hit that like button if you like this video. Also comment below and let me know what's your favorite Irish whiskey. Which is one that I should go look at and review? Is there one that's special out there that you think, okay, we need to try this? And should she be there with me to try it again, or should I do that one on my own? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? So in the comments below, let me know which Irish whiskeys you like and which ones we should review. All right.
But also, we were drinking a lot of Irish whiskeys then too.
Yeah, we were
over there. We're trying different ones, so maybe our palate was like a little bit different since we were there.
And
for
it was
those.
maybe it was acclimated to Irish whiskeys, and this one stood out as an Irish whiskey for us. That's a very good thought. So I like that. I like that. And I did bring a bunch of up there in the corner. Up there is all my Irish whiskey, so I do have all my Irish whiskeys there too. So maybe one day we just drink a few Irish whiskeys throughout the day, and kind of do it that way. But
the Game of Thrones one.
It's from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I don't have that one here.
Oh, I have it.
Yeah.
I have it.
Why? I don't have it, right? All right. So I hope you're enjoying my review. Something other than a bourbon, other than a rye. This is my first journey, with an Irish whiskey. And my friend out there, Matt, Whiskey Nerd, let me know how I did. What do you think? How do you think I did reviewing this one? Thank you for joining me on another journey down a whiskey rabbit hole. Cheers.
Cheers.
To our next journey, my friends. So as you can see, HRE.
My cheeks are so fat. Okay.
All right, ready?